Alright, hello everyone, it's Nigel here once again, and I've got another video game review for you today. On a video game that I beat last night, and that is going to be Ratchet and Clank for the PS2. Now, you may be wondering, Nigel, how'd you play a PS2 game in 2022? Especially because my PS2 isn't working anymore. Well, I actually played the Ps3 port of Ratchet and Clank, so a while ago, Ratchet and Clank, all three games were ported to PS3, and they even threw in Deadlock there once again. And of course, PS2 games being ported over to PS3 be something that happens a lot of times, and these were ported over, and then Deadlock got ported over apparently because of an issue with another Ratchet and Clank game not being released on time. But I can worry about that later. But this is going to be about the original, the OG Ratchet and Clank game from 2002. So this year, here I talked about the 20th anniversary of Kingdom Hearts, how that game is 20 years old and everything. And so is this game. Now, the anniversary for Ratchet and Clank isn't until November, and now look up the exact date just to be sure. But yeah, Ratchet and Clank also 20 years old this year. So, well, with that being said, I knew I wanted to get this game done by then. Yep, November 4th was the first release of this game on PS2. But I knew I wanted to beat this game and move on to the other Ratchet and Clank games, and I'd be remiss for not talking about Ratchet and Clank. Now, as always, for starters, if you haven't already, subscribe here on the YouTube channel, which is of course the Nigelverse, and follow us on all the other social media pages we have. I have a Facebook page, an Instagram page, and we even have a Twitter page now, all under the Nigelverse, where I post different discussions, other nerdy stuff, and you get updates on videos like this. But also, YouTube channel, don't forget, subscribe, turn on post notifications, share, or like, all that good stuff. And you can also comment and or inbox me anywhere you can get a hold of me, what other games you want to see me talk about or review, and that goes for anything, for movies, and I've also started to review a little bit of wrestling. Next wrestling review is probably gonna be in a little bit. There's a couple matches I'm considering to do for my next wrestling review, but anything you want me to review, let me know, and I'll consider it. But without further ado, let's get into Ratchet and Clank. So, other thing is as always, I'm not a professional video game reviewer, just a man who enjoys a good time, and I definitely had a good time revisiting this game. And now I beat it earlier in my life on the PS2, and to beat it again here on PS3, and playing it again now on PS3, I love it honestly even more than I did growing up. And a huge fan of Ratchet and Clank and everything they're doing. Of course, as I kind of have to be, because the studio that made Ratchet and Clank is Insomniac Studios. The studio's not just behind Spyro the Dragon from back in the day. He's still my absolute favorite video game series of all time, but even the Spider-Man game, Spider-Man PS4 game from 2018, and Miles Morales as well, the Spider-Man Miles Morales game. So, Insomniac games definitely find their way into my art each and every time, and this time is no exception. So, now this was the only Ratchet and Clank game that I played that I actually beaten. Now, when I say, of course, beaten, I don't mean like 100% found everything, especially because with Ratchet and Clank, you are likely not gonna find everything your first playthrough, which is why they do have a new game plus mode. But other than that, the other games I played for Ratchet and Clank is Going Commando and Tools of Destruction. And actually, that's kind of a lie, because I also did play the 2016 video game that released for the PS4. But I'll talk more about that later when I replay. I may replay it and then do a review for that as well. But back to this game and everything. Going back and playing it was a lot of fun, especially revisiting a lot of the planets that I visited on my first time around. I'm getting to see some new stuff and getting to learn even more stuff about the game and everything, which is why it's always fun to replay old games, especially games you grew up playing, mainly because you get to learn new stuff about the game and everything. So, being able to revisit and replay this game was a lot of fun. Now, there's some stuff from this game that's aged really well, some stuff that's aged not so well, and that's kind of not entirely the fault of the game itself, more so the port before that of when it got ported over to PS3. But we'll talk about that in just a moment. So, first of all, we'll start with what I liked about the game, and we're kind of gonna cross-reference it between this and then the 2016 game slash movie, because the game was like a tie-in to the movie and everything. But I do like the chemistry between the two main characters, Ratchet and Clank. We see them progress through the game. We see their relationship, their friendship grow through the game and everything. And initially, they meet on planet Veldin when Clank crash lands there after coming off the assembly line and being labeled as defective by a machine mass-producing giant robots to help take over the galaxy for the main villain, which we'll get to. But so Clank meets Ratchet on planet Veldin, and then from there, they just go about. Clank, of course, tells Ratchet that the galaxy is in danger, that the main villain, who is Chairman Executive Drek, what is he the chairman of? I have no idea, but basically he's planning to take over the world, destroy several planets. Ratchet's like, will take over the galaxy, I should say. And Ratchet decides to go along, and Clank needs Ratchet because Ratchet, of course, the muscle and everything, and tech guy, he assembles a lot of stuff. We even see him assembling stuff, like fixing his ship and everything on the opening level in Veldin. And Ratchet, of course, needs Clank because Clank is equipped with the latest in robotic ignition system, so he can power up any ship in the galaxy, and it'll power up and fly and all that. So Ratchet and Clank pretty much go across the galaxy. Now, stuff like that helps introduce the characters, but then it's kind of a storytelling tactic where it's what introduces the characters, but the characters' relationship still grows over time. But Ratchet then and meets up with Captain Quark, or Ratchet and Clank both seek out Captain Quark to help them out, and they meet up with Quark, and it turns out Quark is working with Chairman Drek, so he double crosses Ratchet and Clank, and Ratchet and Clank, of course, as you're going through the galaxy, they're disrupting a lot of Chairman Drek and the Blarg, which is the species Chairman Drek has. It's what he is, I should say, and it's the species that are like the main villains of the game. So Ratchet and Clank disrupt a lot of stuff for them, and Drek not having it. So Quark double crosses them, and then from there we see a rift between Ratchet and Clank. Ratchet is more concerned about getting revenge on Quark, but Clank reminds him, like, hey, we kind of have to, we gotta try to get after Drek and everything. And so eventually, once they defeat Quark, then Ratchet realizes, oh shoot, Drek is bad. We gotta stop him. And Clank ultimately gets him back on track, and they stop Chairman Drek, and the final level, very poetic because it starts back on Veldin, and so the final level is on Veldin, where the tutorial level was, and that's Ratchet's home world. And they stop Chairman Drek, and they blow up the planet. So Chairman Drek's motivation behind all this, why is he doing all this, is at first it seems like he wants to build a brand new planet for the Blarg, as the other planet is now uninhabitable due to pollution and everything. But then it's revealed that, Chairman Drek's the one who polluted the planet, and that he's getting money for this new planet and everything. And then once everyone's settled in, he pollutes the new planet, and then the whole cycle begins all over again. And so Ratchet and Clank then, after defeating Chairman Drek, blow up this created planet. And the planet's created from chunks of other planets. It's that Chairman Drek has stolen resources and stuff from. So we have to go about stopping him, but then other than that, that's really the main story that we get. The rest is very exploration, and that's what I love about the game. There's a lot to explore. There's several planets that you can visit and everything, and usually when you end off a quest on one of the planets, an infobot will come and give you the coordinates and everything to another planet, so you go from there and it keeps going. And I do note that it's similar to how Spyro did it, where you complete an area and then you kind of get funneled over to the next area, but instead of it being like these areas at once, you can kind of pick and choose which levels you want to go to from there. And then of course different worlds and stuff you can pick and choose. With Ratchet and Clank, it's a bit more linear, if that makes sense, where the planets, some of them you don't get access to until you do what you gotta do on another planet and get the infobot for the next planet, and then if that makes sense. If it's not, please let me know. But you kind of get it funneled to other planets, if that makes sense. But on the planets that you visit, there's a lot to do. There's different paths that you can take, which is pretty cool, and there's different gadgetry and stuff that let you unlock different paths, and you get stuff like gadgets and new weapons and stuff, which the weapons will also get to. But there's a lot to do, and there's a lot to see and a lot to explore on these other planets, which makes the experience so fun, because it really feels like you're on an adventure, and you're really being able to go and visit these other planets and see what things are like, and get cutscenes for each planet, not just of Ratchet and Clank, how their relationship keeps building and everything, how their friendship keeps growing, but then you also get to interact with the locals, some of the locals on the planets and everything, and that's pretty cool to see how you interact with them, and you get that world building from those experiences. And like I said, it is similar to how they do with Spyro and Insomniac. I can tell it's something Insomniac's known for. But other thing that I like about Ratchet and Clank is that it feels like even when you complete the main path to go to the next planet, there's stuff you can do to get different gadgets, to get different things to make your journey easier, but not everything is required. There's some stuff that's required, like the infobots to go to the different planets, and certain weapons that you'll need for other planets, certain gadgets that you'll need. But there's other stuff that's not quite as required, such as like some bonus gadgets that do different things, like the metal detector, which will allow you to get like different bolts and stuff off. But it's pretty cool to see. And moving on, let's actually talk about the currency, which is bolts. You can collect them and everything. So it's kind of that collectathon element that Spyro had, but with a twist, because now you can actually do something with the currency that you collect. With Spyro, you couldn't really do that except for being able to pay off money bags to unlock different parts of the level and stuff like that. Here with Ratchet and Clank, though, you actually use it to buy weapons, and you can sometimes use it to buy different like gadgets and ammo, as well as being able to buy different upgrades for Clank and everything. And let's talk about the weapons now. The weapon selection for this game is absolutely awesome. Now, one of the reasons why Insomniac moved from Spyro to Ratchet and Clank was because they felt that Spyro had become limited, because he's not bipedal, because he has to crawl around on all fours, because he's a dragon and everything. They felt like there wasn't a whole lot they could still do with him, because he didn't have hands, so he couldn't do other stuff. And they proved that with Ratchet, because Ratchet is bipedal. He's able to stand on two legs, and he's able to carry weapons and everything, and use that weaponry pretty much to rid the galaxy of the evil foes and everything. And there's a lot of weapons to choose from. You start off with two weapons, the Pyrocitor and the Bomb Glove, but then you can unlock other weapons later on in the game to help progress things even more, such as like the Blaster or the Visibomb or the Devastator or the Glove of Doom, the Mind Glove, the Tesla Claw, stuff like that, and this wide array of weapons is pretty cool and pretty fun to play with, and you really feel like you're destroying a lot of stuff with the weapons, and it's so fun to use these on the enemies, which is one of the reasons why I love this game so much, is this wide array of weapons. Now, some of these weapons are kind of useless, and we'll get to that, but the weapon selection is still pretty good. There's a lot of very useful weapons to use there. The other things that I like about the game, the music, and the environments as well, just the presentation of the game. The environments, a lot of them are pretty colorful, pretty fun to look at, easy on the eyes, and a lot of fun to traverse, but that music, man, it's iconic. Now, we don't have Stuart Copeland with his legendary soundtrack because that was Spyro. This is Ratchet and Clank, obviously, but the music is still a lot of fun and definitely has that techno beat to it. But it also sounds kind of epic, so kind of has that futuristic vibe, which goes throughout all of Ratchet and Clank. It's very future-oriented vibe, which is pretty cool to see, and seeing it reflect in the music is really good. There's a lot of memorable soundtracks that you will listen to and that you'll want to listen to again that are a lot of fun. Some earworms, but that's not a bad thing. And they're good earworms this time around. But a lot of memorable, fun music, and I like how some pieces are kind of similar, but it's not a bad thing. But most of them are pretty different and unique, which is pretty cool as well. And I do like the chemistry that was built between Ratchet and Clank, their friendship and everything, how we see it progress through the game and everything, and it makes sense. They're traveling together, and that, I think, is something that the PS4 version lacked, was that it didn't feel like Ratchet and Clank as much. Well, I should more so say the movie version. The PS4 version didn't really have that much of it either, but the movie version had way less, and it didn't feel like Ratchet and Clank. It felt like Ratchet and the Galactic Rangers featuring Clank. Now, the Galactic Rangers aren't around yet in the 2002 version. They're kind of, they don't exist yet. There is something similar to that, which we'll see in a later Ratchet and Clank game, and I'll talk more about that when we get to that, but yeah, so we mostly see Ratchet interacting with Clank here, and we see how their friendship progresses and everything. And it works wonders because the two people who are in the title of the game, we actually see them throughout the game. So it works, and it works perfectly. Now, as for what I didn't like about the game, and the game is a lot of fun. It's really good, but it's not perfect. For starters, the game is pretty scarce on checkpoints. Now, a lot of older games usually were pretty scarce on checkpoints, and Jak 2 was especially scarce. There's on checkpoints as well, but this game is especially. There's a lot of times where you'll make a lot of progress in a level, die, and then go way back to the previous level, to like to a previous part of the level that you did almost forever ago, and you're like, what? I gotta start from over here? But that's how old school games go. The other thing I didn't really like is that some of the weapons are kind of useless. Some of them I didn't even use this time around when I played, like the decoy glove, the mind glove. I didn't really use those. The drone device, I maybe activated like once or twice, and that was like by accident. And so, yeah, not every weapon was useful in this game, which kind of sucked. But thankfully, the useful weapons were still very useful, especially against the final boss, which there was only 3 weapons I really used against the final boss, which is Chairman Dredd. And the checkpoint problem does appear there as well, but and it's very prevalent there. But the only 3 weapons I really had to use against Dredd was the blaster, the Tesla Claw, and then when those ran out of ammo, I switched to the Devastator, and it totally made it trivial. I only maybe died twice, once to Drek himself, the other because I fell off one of the ledges, but other than that, the weapons, not all of them were useful, but at least a good portion of them were useful, at least, which is good. But yeah, useless weapons, I'm not the biggest fan and everything. But the other stuff was that there was some problems with the PS3 port, which I won't hold against Ratchet and Clank as a game because my PS2 ran fine and everything, but the PS3 port, there was some slowdown, especially towards the end, especially when I was using like the Visibomb, gun. There was some slowdown as well, and a little bit of choppiness in the game, which, like I said, is more on the port. But yeah, so I had a lot of fun revisiting the game and everything, and can't wait to play the other games because those are on my PS3 as well. And with PlayStation Plus, the upgrades coming to those, being able to access stuff from the PS3 and PS2 libraries that you can play on your PS4. Hopefully, I can go back and play the other Ratchet and Clank games that I don't quite have yet, like Size Matters or the rest of like the Ratchet and Clank Future Saga. But without further ado, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, like I said, subscribe, like, comment, share, all that good stuff, and I will see you guys later. Peace.